Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jackie and today we're doing something a little bit different. I've got the baby strapped in and the hubby's up front. We're going on a hike and I thought it'd be a great opportunity to film a after hike stretch video for you guys. So we'll take you along with us and then we'll meet back home and stretch together. We've just made it back home and it was a really nice hike around the Tegernsee area. Actually the first proper hike that we've done with the baby, and she was really well behaved, which means we can do more, yay. But now I am really ready to stretch, so I'm going to get changed and then we'll come to meet back here on the mat. Okay, we're going to start on our feet because if we lie all the way down, we might not stand up again. So let's bring our feet hip width distance apart and keep them nice and bent. We're just coming to a forward fold. And you can bend your knees as much as possible, but we want to get that nice stretch through the hamstrings. So try to straighten them just until the point where you feel a slight pull, and we'll bring our hands to our elbows and we're just going to hang here for a bit. So we should get a nice stretch through the hamstrings, through the back of the legs. I know I'm definitely feeling it. And also we're getting a nice release through the lower back as well, because all that walking and especially coming downhill puts a lot of strain and impact on the lower back. And just allow your arms, shoulders and head to fall down towards the mat. Just let everything be nice and loose. Maybe you want to nod your head and shake it just to make sure that you're not holding on there. And we'll stay here for another few breaths. Maybe you want to try and straighten your legs a little bit more. And then let's place the hands on the mat. And let's bend the left knee and keep the right leg straight. Pull up the kneecap. The left hand comes in the center between the two legs, just in front of you. And we'll reach the right arm up to the sky. Getting a nice twist here. And so what we want to do is try and stick that right hip out. So we should be getting a nice stretch through the hip and down the back of the leg. And then getting a nice twist through the body as well. And just allow your breath to flow freely. And then let's come onto the outside edge of this right foot. So we're lifting the inside edge of that foot off the mat. And then we should be getting a nice stretch through the side of the lower leg and then all the way up through the ITB as well. And I know I have really tight ITB, so that sometimes pulls on my knee, which gives me a bit of knee pain. So this is a really good stretch for that. Really think about pushing the outside edge of that foot into the mat. And then let's release it down. Bring the feet back to the center and we'll come to the other side. So the right hand comes underneath the shoulder between the two legs. Straighten the left, pulling up the kneecap, bend through the right. Stick the left hip out and then reach the left hand up to the sky. And you can try and take your gaze up towards that left hand if you can. Getting that nice stretch through the left hip. And then let's come to the outside edge of this left foot. So we're lifting up through the arches of the feet, getting that nice stretch through the outside of the lower leg up through the ITB, reaching the left arm up to the sky again. Really stick that left hip outwards. And you can even think about shifting that weight slightly over towards the left until you feel a little bit more of a stretch on the outside edge of your leg. And then let's lower it down. Bring the feet back and walk the hands slightly out, the feet slightly back, and come into a downward facing dog. Just keeping the knees nice and soft. And we'll just take a few movements here, whatever you feel like you need to after your hike. I like pedaling out the feet, just gently stretching through the feet and also the back of the legs. And maybe you want to lift up both heels off the mat and then drop them down. Do whatever feels good for your body. We'll take another breath here. What's nice is also dropping the hips from side to side. Okay, on the next breath, let's come back to stillness. Hands and feet pushing into the mat, knees slightly bent if you need to. And we'll take the right knee into the chest, and then we'll place it on the outside of that right hand. Let's drop the back knee, untuck the toes. You might want to just walk your left leg back a little bit further. Maybe you want to bring your hands up onto your right knee and think about really dropping the hips down to the mat. And also just making sure that the hips are both pointing to the top of your mat so you haven't opened up or twisted in any way. You might want to stay here, or you might want to take one hand down or both hands on the inside of that right leg. If you're feeling really open, maybe you even want to come down onto your elbows. And we should be getting a nice stretch through both hips here, and especially the left hip flexor. So that's down the front of the hip there. And sometimes if I want to feel a little bit more of that stretch in the hip flexor like I am now, I'll tuck the back toe and then straighten up the leg. And then you can really think about sinking the left hip flexor down to the mat. So just take whichever variation suits you after your hike today, depending on how much you've done or how tight you feel. We'll stay here for another breath. And then lower the back knee if it's up, untuck the toes. And then you can either stay there for a little bit longer, or there's the option to come up onto your hands, bend the back knee, and reach the right arm back towards that left foot. And even if you can't hold on to it, it's thinking about creating that space in your body, and just try to bring the foot closer towards you, and you should be getting a really nice stretch through that left quad. And if you can reach, you want to gently just pull that foot closer towards your body. Keep thinking about sinking your hips down to the mat, and take your breath all the way deep past your lungs and into your belly. And just notice if you are gripping onto any muscles. I just noticed now that I was holding on to a little bit of tension in my right quad, and I let it go, and I was able to go just a little bit deeper. So just take that breath with you and try to release with every exhale. Stay here for one more breath wherever you are. And then releasing that back knee if it was up. Placing the hands down, tuck the left toes, and we'll come back to our downward facing dog. And just taking a moment here, do whatever you need to. Just noticing the differences in your hips now. My left hip definitely feels a lot looser and less tight. And then whenever you're ready, let's bring the left knee into the chest, and then place that foot on the outside of the left hand. Drop the back knee, untuck the toes. Maybe you need to shift your weight back a little bit with that foot. And then let's come up with the hands onto the left knees, making sure that your hips are pointing to the top of the mat and they're nice and level. And then think about dropping down the hips towards the mat, getting that nice stretch through the right hip flexor. If you want, you can place your hands on the inside of the left knee or all the way down onto your elbows. Whichever variation suits you today. Again, if you want that deeper stretch through the right hip flexor, we can flex the right toes and then lift the knee off the mat. And then really think about sinking both hips and this hip flexor especially down towards the mat. And just bring your focus to your breath. Just letting your breath help you release even further. So try to, with every exhale, release any other muscles that you're holding on to. And then let's drop the back knee if you have it up, and we'll come into our quad stretch if you want to do that. So we'll bend the right knee and reach the left arm behind us and holding onto that foot if you can. Otherwise, just stretching and creating space, thinking about bringing that foot closer towards your body. If we're holding on, we're gently pulling with the hand on the foot towards the body and then getting that nice stretch through the right quads. And then think about taking that breath to any areas that feel tight. And then releasing with every exhale. Okay, let's release that back foot. Bring the hands back on the inside of the left foot. Tuck the right toe, straighten the leg, and we'll come back to our downward facing dog. Again, just take a little bit of time here, doing whatever you need for your body. And just noticing how you're feeling now that we've stretched out on both sides. And on the next breath, let's come to another hip opener. Bring the right knee into the chest. And then we're coming into pigeon. So let's flex the right foot. The ankle comes towards the left wrist and the knee comes towards the right wrist. Drop the back knee and then maybe heel toe it back further. If you have a block or a cushion, you might want to place it underneath that right hip just to give you a little bit more support. Otherwise, if your body is open, you can come sit all the way down. And you can stay up with your hands on your mat or on your legs. Or you can walk the hands forward and then slowly bring the body forward as well. Keeping that right foot flex so we're protecting the knee. And just focusing on the breath. We should be getting a nice stretch through the hips and the right glutes. So really nice after a long hike in the mountains. Take the breath all the way in through the nose, completely filling your lungs. Expand your belly. And then breathing out, bringing your navel back to your spine, emptying your lungs and letting the air flow back out through your nose or mouth. Bringing that fresh oxygen back into the body. Let's stay here for one more breath. And on the next breath in, if you're on your elbows, let's come back up onto the hands. Tuck the left toes, straighten the knee, and then lift all the way back up into your downward facing dog. Again, just taking a moment here. Notice the difference between both hips, both glutes. And then whenever you're ready, we'll come to the other side. Left knee into the chest, flex the left foot, ankle comes towards the right wrist, knee comes towards the left. Lower the back knee and then shift the weight back, maybe placing a pillow or a block underneath the left hip. Otherwise, coming all the way down, placing hands on the knees or on the mat, or walking them all the way forward, maybe coming onto your forearms. Keep that left foot nice and flexed, and bring the breath all the way through the body, bringing fresh oxygen, new circulation, renewing the blood flow within your legs and your hips and glutes. This should hopefully be feeling really nice after a long hike, to stretch out all those muscles. Let's hold here for another couple of breaths. And on the next breath in, if you're on your elbows, let's come back up onto your hands, tuck the right toes, straighten the leg, and we'll come back to downward facing dog. Again, take a moment here. Notice the effects on both sides of your body now that we've balanced out. And then let's bring the knees down to the mat, coming onto all fours. We can untuck the toes and we'll straighten the right leg back. So placing the toes flexed onto the mat and then pushing through the back of the heel towards the back of the mat. So we're getting a stretch through the calf muscle now. So the more you push, the more of a stretch you feel. So just take it as far as your calf muscles can take it today, depending on how tight they feel. And just keep pushing through the back of the heel and pushing the hands into the mat as well. Taking that breath all the way through, maybe thinking about sending the energy of that breath to your calf. And one more breath here. And then slowly releasing, bringing the knee back underneath. And we'll stretch the left foot out behind, flexing the feet, placing the toes on the ground, and then pressing the heel of that foot towards the back of the mat. So I'm pushing on my hands to reach the heel of the foot towards the back of the mat. And just keep that leg nice and active, pulling up through the kneecaps. And then just try to stay as still as possible to get that nice stretch through the calf muscle. Again, coming just to as far as it starts to feel tight. And with a bit of time, it's going to loosen up and you will be able to get a little bit deeper into the stretch. And again, taking that breath, the energy of the breath all the way down to the left calf muscle. And we'll take one last breath here. And releasing the feet. We'll place the knees underneath the hips and we'll come to our puppy pose. So let's walk the hands forward and drop the forehead down to the mat. And just allow your heart and your chest to melt down towards the mat. And you might just need to find the best position for you. Maybe you need to bring your hips further back, or maybe they need to be further forward. But just find that nice position where you don't need to hold on to anything and you can just allow your chest to drop down towards the mat. So this is really nice to stretch out the back of the body, especially if you were holding or wearing a big backpack. We can just get a nice stretch through the shoulder blades here. And really think about dropping your chest and even your armpits down towards the mat. And reaching your fingertips further away from your body. And just with every out breath, think about dropping a little bit closer down towards the mat. Even if you don't notice anything physically, it's that feeling of just letting go. Let's hold here for one more breath. And on the next breath in, let's lift up through the head and walk the hands back underneath the shoulders. And we'll come into thread the needle. Taking a breath in, press through the left hand, reach the right arm up to the sky, opening up through the chest. See if you can stack your right shoulder on top of your left. And breathing out, thread the arm underneath the body, between the arm and the leg. Place the top of the hand, the arm, the shoulder, and the head down on the mat. And either staying here, or we'll reach that left arm to the top right corner of the mat, reaching the fingertips further away from your body. And then maybe you can think about twisting a little bit more, trying to get your gaze towards the sky. And just let every muscle go. Don't really need to be holding on to any tension anywhere. Again, we're getting a nice stretch through the shoulder blades and then through the side of the body through this twist as well. And take that breath in through your nose, fill your lungs, expand your belly. And then letting it go back out the other way, out through your nose or mouth. Letting go with it any tension in your body. You deserve a nice rest after your long hike. Let's take one more breath here. And then let's bring the left hand back underneath the shoulder. Take a breath in, push the hand into the mat as you reach your right arm back up to the sky. See if you can open up a little bit further than you did before. And breathing out, hand comes back underneath the shoulder. And we'll come to the other side. Breathing in, press the right hand into the mat, lift the left arm up. Open up, stacking the left shoulder on top of the right. And breathing out, threading it underneath the body, placing the back of the hand, the arm, shoulder, head onto the mat, and staying here, or taking the right hand to the top left corner of your mat, getting that nice stretch through the right side as well. And then maybe trying to take your gaze towards the ceiling as much as you can. And again, just letting all the muscles go, releasing all the tension in your body with every out breath. And we'll stay here for another couple of breaths. Keep taking the air in through your nose, filling your lungs and expanding your belly. And then letting it soften through the belly, soften through the chest, and come back out through your nose or mouth. And on your next breath in, bring that right hand back underneath the right shoulder. Take a breath in and push the hand into the mat as you lift back up. Lift the left arm up to the sky. See if you can open up even further. And breathing out, hand comes back down onto the mat. And we'll cross our legs behind and come to sit down finally. Coming into our butterfly pose. So bringing the soles of the feet together. And then letting the knees drop down to the sides. So you may want to play with whether or not you want your feet further away from your body or close to your body, whatever feels comfortable for you. And maybe just take your hands behind a little bit and push your pelvis back so you're really sitting right on top of your sit bones. And then we can let the knees drop down towards the mat. Maybe you want to place your hands on your feet and just sit right up. Or maybe you want to come forward, walking your hands further forward and getting a deeper stretch through your hips here. And wherever you are, we want to bring that focus to the breath. Breathing into any areas that may be feeling tight. And then think about releasing that tension on your breath out. And maybe just taking notice if you are holding onto any muscles anywhere. And it may be that it takes you a few breaths to notice that you are holding on, that you are gripping. And then another few breaths to kind of figure out how to let it go, and that's totally fine. Let's hold here for another couple of breaths. And on the next breath in, if you're all the way down, let's slowly walk the hands back up to the body. And wherever you are, we can place the hands underneath the knees and just very gently bring them back up together. And then let's hug the knees into the chest. We can drop our forehead down to our knees and just hold here for a moment. Maybe you want to take a gentle rock from side to side. And then let's come up to seated with just our legs crossed. We'll take a breath and reach the arms up to the sky. And breathing out, interlace the fingers, place them behind your head. And then let the chin drop down towards your chest and let the elbows come together. And just let the weight of your arms gently pull down on your head so that you're getting a nice stretch through the back of the neck. And I know there can be a lot of tension in the shoulders and the neck, especially if you're carrying a backpack or also using the hiking sticks. And then let's take a breath and lift the chest back up, lift the head, open the elbows wide, and reach your chest towards the sky. And then letting go of your hands, let's roll the shoulders. Bring them all the way forward, all the way up, and back, and then down. Doing this a few times with your own timing, with your own breath. And then let's roll them all the way back down and take the head over towards the right side. Let's bring the right arm over top, placing the hand just on the head. And again, using the weight of your arm, gently pulling down to the side to get that nice stretch through the side of the neck. Left hand comes down beside you. Roll the shoulder back and down and press your left hand into the mat. So you're getting a nice opposite stretch through your arm and your neck. And again, we're not pulling down with that right hand on the head, but just using the natural weight of the arm to gently stretch out. Keep pressing the left hand down into the mat. And then let's release the hands. Roll the shoulders back and down again. Left arm comes over top this time. Head drops over towards the left, placing the hand onto the right side of the head. And just using the weight of that arm to gently stretch out the side. Roll the right shoulder back and down. Press the hand into the mat beside you. And getting a nice stretch through the side of the neck and the top of the shoulders. And on the next breath in, let's release the hands. And then we'll come onto all fours again, coming into our wide-legged child's pose. So bringing the knees to the outside edges of the mat, feet together, sinking your hips down to the heels of your feet, and then walking the hands forward. Drop the chest and the forehead down to the mat. This is going to be our last stretch today. we're going to end here. And just think about walking your fingertips further away from your body. And maybe you even want to just stretch one arm further away and then the other. So we're getting a nice stretch through the sides of the body. Just stretching one arm and then the other further away from you. Getting that length back into the spine. And then let's come to stillness, bringing our body back to the center, walking the fingertips further away from you. And then think about sinking your hips closer to the heels of your feet and melting your heart and your head down towards the mat. And reaching the fingertips further away from you. Taking a few deep breaths here, all the way down into your belly. Really allowing all this tension to melt away from your body. Allowing all the muscles to loosen, soften, and relax. And maybe thinking about sinking your heart further down into the mat on every out breath. Let's stay here for another couple of breaths. Maybe you're sinking closer down to the mat. Maybe you're walking your fingertips further away from your body. Maybe you're sinking your hips closer to the heels of your feet. One last breath. And on the next breath in, gently lifting up the head, walking the hands back up to your body. Thank you so much for joining me for today's after hike stretch. I hope you're feeling a lot looser and less tight and stiff in all your muscles. And if you like that video, please think about subscribing, and then I'll see you on the next one. Bye.